Hello guys, John here. Welcome to HT Movies channel. In this video I will recap some movie that is enough to make me goosebumps titled The Sand, which was released in 2015. Okay, without a lot of spoilers at the beginning, we just get into the movie. The movie begins by showing a scene located on a beach. Throughout the movie we are not told what is the name of this beach and where it is located. On the beach, a group of teenagers were partying on the beach at night. If calculated the amount, less than 20 people. In the middle of a party, a man makes a rule where all those at the party should not use their mobile phones at all. So, their phones are all collected and stored in the trunk of the car. Shortly thereafter, there were two men carrying a large chunk filled with mucus. They said that this strange thing was found not far from the beach. But without them realizing it, this strange thing that will actually bring havoc to them. In the morning, a girl named Kaylee woke up first. Not long after that, a man named Mitch also woke up from his sleep. Kaylee and Mitch, who were at the Coast Guard's house, saw their friends asleep in the car. Kaylee also saw her boyfriend Jonah fall asleep with her friend Chanda. In other words, Jonah has cheated on Chanda, who is Kaylee's friend. Then, a guy named Vance and his girlfriend named Ronnie have also woken up in the back seat of the car. While the girl named Marcia even woke up on a beach chair. Not long after, Kaylee saw a seabird foraging. Then the bird suddenly sucked into the beach sand. Marcia, whose life was still half trying to get off the chair, Kaylee immediately shouted for Marcia not to step on the sand. But unfortunately, Marcia had already stepped on the sand. Marcia's legs suddenly felt like they were heavy and couldn't be lifted at all. Her friends who saw Marcia in trouble panicked and confused what happened. At that very moment, Ronnie's girlfriend Vance tries to help Marcia. Vance jumped out of the car and instantly his legs felt heavy to make him fall. His intention to help but ended tragically. Vance's face facing the sand began to be gnawed by something to the point that Vance's face was torn and crushed. It wasn't long before Vance and Marcia immediately sank into the sand. What a terrible thing in the morning that was unexpected by all of them. Seeing his two friends killed instantly, they planned to call the police station. But, they only realized that their phones were all collected and in the trunk of the car. Mitch, as the one who made the rule, was directly blamed by his friend. Even worse, they all turned out to secretly enter the beach that was actually not open because the seawater was already polluted. Jonah, who was in the car, also tried to start the engine of his car. But apparently, the car battery was dry and forgot to be replaced by Jonah before leaving for the beach. The car can't be used at all. Kaylee was curious about the creatures in the sand of the beach. Kaylee uses her hands to lure the creature out, looking like a strange creature shaped like very thin hair. Long story short, his friend named Gilbert just woke up and got stuck in the trash. I honestly feel sorry for him. Gilbert tried to get out of the trash by shaking his body. Instantly his friends immediately shouted and told Gilbert not to move from his place. Gilbert fell silent after being told there was something in the sand. Gilbert was also shocked to find out that his two friends had died because of sand beach. Forced, Gilbert had to endure and stay in the trash. Time after time passed, and they were all just waiting in their own place, in the hope that someone would come and know their existence. Ronnie, who lost his girlfriend, wrote a letter to his mother if he did not survive. Without food, without drinks, they could all just wait for something uncertain. Then, they all realized that the people who participated in the party last night were no longer there and drowned in the sand of the beach. In other words, on this beach there are only 6 of them left. Not far from them, Kaylee saw a large chunk found last night had been split. Ronnie realized that the big chunk looked like an egg that had hatched. Therefore, the strange creature that was under the sand most likely came from the egg. Yes, if you remember, the seawater on this beach has been polluted, and pollution of seawater could have created new creatures that are not expected. Then, Jonah has a plan to take the items that are in Marsh's bag. It just so happened that in the back of the car there were 2 surfboards that Jonah could use to walk. Jonah also put the surfboard one by one to step. When it was approaching the surfboard, chair that Jonah stepped on instead shifted and further away. Jonah continued to try to keep his body from touching the sand at all. However, parasites instead came out of the beach sand and touched Jonah's stomach. Luckily, Jonah was still able to survive and jumped into that chair. Instantly his stomach was injured from being bitten by a parasite. Jonah also looks like a person who is poisoned and makes his face pale. Jonah said that his stomach felt like he was stung by 1,000 jellyfish. While enduring the pain, Jonah opened the contents of Marsh's bag and found some canned drinks. In the end, one by one they were given drinking water by Jonah. When Jonah throws a drink at Mitch, Jonah suddenly feels a lot of pain. It startled Mitch so much that the wood on the edge of the stairs became loose. The wound on Jonah's abdomen also looks worse and begins to release pus. Jonah, who was in pain, could only lie on that chair. The 5 of them were even more confused as to how they could continue to survive in this place. The only way, they have to take the phone that is in the trunk of the car. Ronnie also planned to open the trunk while stepping on the bumper of the car. When the trunk of the car began to open, suddenly there was a patrol car that came and immediately honed them non-stop. Ronnie, who was shocked, instantly slipped and made the finger of his right hand pinch the trunk of the car. When the man was a lifeguard at this place, the lifeguard asked what exactly Kaylee and her friends were doing on the beach that was closed. Kaylee told me there was something under the sand of this beach. The incredulous lifeguard got out of the car right away. Surprisingly, the parasite that was in the sand could not injure his leg. They were all confused as to why the lifeguard could walk without being injured at all. Because nothing had happened to him, the Coast Guard was increasingly incredulous in their words. Later, Mitch said that the man was not harmed by parasites because of the leather shoes he was wearing. At that moment, the lifeguard told Kaylee and Mitch to get down to him. But the 2 of them clearly did not want to obey the orders of the Coast Guard. The furious beach guard immediately threatened them by removing pepper spray. Unfortunately, the man's car keys fell on the sand. The Coast Guard took his car keys. But his hands immediately felt heavy and could not be moved at all. Kaylee told the lifeguard to use pepper spray. Just then, the man immediately sprayed the parasites that emerged from the sand. Unfortunately, half the lifeguard's hands had to be puffed out and bleed a lot. Not long after, the lifeguard immediately fell and sucked into the sand. From that incident, Mitch realized that footwear is very important. Mitch plans to wrap his legs in a towel and run to the car. When Chanda throws his towel, Mitch instead falls due to a loose wooden edge. Mitch then falls on the sand and begins to be gnawed by a collection of parasites. Instantly his feet and hands began to enter the sand slowly. His friends could only watch without knowing what to do. In a panic, Kaylee had an idea. Kaylee gave the edge of the wooden stairs to Chanda, who was in the car. Kaylee jumped from the lifeguard's house to the car. The 2 of them then helped Ronnie to release his pinched finger. Fortunately, all 4 of Ronnie's fingers were successfully removed and immediately wrapped using a towel. On the other hand, Gilbert's pinched half-body began to get injured and bleed a lot. Then, Kaylee and Chanda put the wood down so they could cross into the chair. Slowly, Chanda crossed while maintaining her body balance. Fortunately, Chanda managed to get to that chair. Kaylee, who crossed, also managed to get to the chair. When it was Ronnie's turn, Ronnie slipped and fell on the sand. In an instant, the collection of parasites immediately sucked Ronnie into the sand. Without them noticing, the collection of parasites tried to get into the trash. Chanda had the idea to go to the patrol car. Chanda also applies the way Mitch was told earlier. When all his legs were wrapped in towels, Chanda immediately ran and managed to get to the top of the car. However, suddenly Gilbert slowly began to bleed from his mouth. It turned out that all the parasites had made a hole and entered through the bottom. Instantly, Gilbert was immediately sucked into the sand and just disappeared. Even worse, Chanda fell and his head was hit until he was unconscious. So, Kaylee and Jonah can only wait until Chanda regains consciousness. In a short time, at night, Chanda, who fainted, finally regained consciousness and woke up. Chanda found a lifeboat in the patrol car. Without a second thought, Chanda immediately threw the lifeboat until it expanded. Then he went down to the lifeboat to pick up Kaylee and Jonah. One by one they stood on the lifeboat and got into the car. Unfortunately, Jonah's increasingly severe injuries made his life not helped anymore. Honestly, I think Jonah will survive and he will try to leave the beach by driving that car. But in reality, he had to die from parasites. So, Kaylee and Chanda can only wait because they can't drive a car at all. The next day, a man suddenly peeked out of the windshield of the car and woke them both up. The man is also seen standing on the sand without being disturbed by parasites. In the end, Kaylee and Chanda descended calmly on the sand. At the end, we are shown a collection of parasites that are swimming and heading to another beach. And the movie is finished. In essence, the only survivors of this catastrophe are Jonah's girlfriend and cheating. Jonah himself had to die from the parasite. So, more or less that's the storyline of the movie The Sand. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for support this channel. Thank you for watching this video until the end, and see you in the next video. Bye.